is Logan Paul. Logan, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, guys.
I'm good. We're pumped to have you. All right, let's talk about this. So you're set to fight the legend that is Floyd Mayweather. Please tell me what made you agree to this fight.
Yeah. Floyd Mayweather is my opponent coming June 6th. You know, they're saying he's pretty good. One of the best boxers of all time. Look, he's one of the best boxers of our generation. When I was presented with the opportunity to fight him as a showman, as an entertainer, as someone who's risen up to challenges his whole life, this was too exciting to turn down.
I can't knock you for not turning it down. That would be foolish. I mean, to be able to get in the ring and to make this money all at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. I would ask, however, what level of sensitivity do you have to folks in the boxing profession that look at guys like yourself and your brother and say, you really may not deserve this opportunity? What do you say to that?
I'm actually fairly sensitive and will completely hear those people out because I understand. Because truthfully, it's not fair, right? Like I don't think. I mean, we definitely didn't climb the ranks and earn the spot to be fighting one of the best boxers of our generation in the typical sense. But, you know, in other ways, we've worked our asses off. And I happen to be in a position where, again, this was an opportunity that came to fruition, and it's not something you say no to.
Before I ask you what I wanted to ask you, Logan, who gave you the shiner in sparring?
Yeah, man. We sparred a lot of pros on the island. I can't keep track, to be honest with you. We fight 3 days a week, three different guys every time we fight. So, man, who knows? But I will say we're in there working each other day in and day out.
So what I wanted to ask is, the thing I respect about you and your brother is you guys respect the fight game. You prepare as hard as you can. You're sometimes criticized for the shape your opponent comes in. That's none of your business. Your business is get yourself in shape, train as hard as you can, fight as hard as you can. I see you both do that every time. But as a student of the fight game, as a guy who really loves it and respects it, how do you tell yourself that you have a chance in a boxing ring, even if he is 44 years old, as by your own admission, one of the, if not the best boxer of his generation? How do you get prepared to get in the ring and tell yourself, I'm going to beat him?
Yeah, you're asking good questions, Max. So I think the biggest thing here, and it's obvious, is my height, my weight, my reach, and my age. You know, there are weight classes in boxing for a reason. And I'm going to be weighing in 3 weight classes heavier than Floyd and probably coming into the fight 4 weight classes heavier. That's dangerous for him. Imagine hypothetically that I know what I'm doing. Imagine I'm a very good boxer. Imagine I'm beating pros and sparring time in and time again. You know, and Floyd comes in and he may realize he's in a little over his head because he's sparring a guy who's longer than him, stronger than him, powerful, has nothing to lose. Like, I'm going in there like, think about it. What happens if I win? You know, the world's axis fucking stands still. Time stops. It's the genesis. It's the greatest upset in the history of combat sports. What happens if I lose? Nothing. Life goes on.
I can understand that. Let me ask you this question. You know, when folks look at you right now, and you just said you basically have nothing to lose, and I don't blame you for that at all. But there are people that are going to ask the question, and they're asking this question already. How serious, not in terms of your training, because we know that you train, you're in shape, you take it seriously, just like Max said, and you and your brother deserve a lot of credit for that. But what do you say to people that would ask, are you really serious about this from a professional perspective? In terms of these exhibitions, you're making more money than you would make if you were an up-and-coming fighter with a promoter, you know, sanctioned by the WBC or whoever the case may be. But do you plan on doing this professionally and really getting in the ring with modern-day professionals who are not retired? Is that something that you plan on doing with your future? What do you say to that?
Yeah. As long as it can bring an audience, man. Like, Jake and I want to be the biggest prize fighters on the planet. We want to fight people who will put on a big show with us, draw a large audience, and entertain a lot of people. That's what we want to do. This is not a 1 year, 2 year plan. This is a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year plan. And you know, unfortunately for our health, we've fallen in love with the sport. We just bought a warehouse here in Puerto Rico. We're turning it into our training stadium or our training facility. And so we're in, man. We're locked.
I mean, first of all, Logan, you have to stop cursing when you're doing broadcast. Like, you and your brother. This is the third time I had you on Max Kellerman radio show. I had your brother on Max on Boxing. You got to stop with the curses. Now, listen, do you already have brain damage? Who's making money outside of boxing chooses to go into boxing and risk everything? Like, what is it about boxing that has drawn you and your brother to it and to take it seriously?
Something about the primal nature of the sport. Two people getting inside a ring or an octagon, whatever shape it may be, and duking it out to see who the better one is so exciting to me. Like, I did that before I did YouTube and blew up on the internet. You know, I was a wrestler. I even took some like jiu-jitsu classes and some striking classes in high school. I've always just been obsessed with it. You know, I love the UFC. I love combat sports. And the fact that I have the vessel to be able to do it myself and the work ethic is, you know, it's the most exciting thing on the planet. I told you this, Max. We're modern day gladiators. You know, it's the coolest thing in the world to me.
Listen, I imagine it gets tiresome having to apologize sort of every time you come on a show toward people other fighters who feel like they've been waiting in line. But there are guys like Jamal Charlo and others who are like, I think it's great what they're doing. I'd like to fight on their undercard. They're bringing a new audience to the sport. You told me on my radio show that you and your brother would consider a fight. You would fight each other. Is that serious? Would you and Jake actually get in the ring and make an event? And how do you even build that up with all the trash talking you guys do before the event? How do you hit your brother in the face in front of millions of people?
Think about, well, that part's easy. Think about this. No one knows more about my brother and no one knows more about me than each other. Like, there's no person that could get under the other person's skin, Jake and me, and vice versa. And I think that would be possibly one of the biggest combat sports events ever. Like, and it sounds laughable now, but what happens in 2 years, in 3 years, when we continue this sport and we continue beating people and winning and putting on great shows? Like, you know, everyone has something to say now, but we're just getting started. Like, what happens when we're actually good at this stuff?
I don't believe for 1 second that you should or would ever fight your brother, because I think y'all love each other to death and you wouldn't want to hurt each other. I don't believe that for 1 second. I just don't. That's
These
just me.
two are nuts. I think they would.
That's just me. But I will say I got a quick statement and then I got a last question. I love what y'all are doing because I think you're bringing attention to how fighters should be treated. The way you guys have gone about the business of marketing yourself, I think the boxing profession is being exposed because they're not taking care of the fighters enough. And the fighters should even have more appreciation for y'all because of the attention you're bringing to the sport and the fact that you're showing there's a different way to get paid rather than having to be at the mercy of promoters. So I love that about y'all. Let me talk about your brother because I want to get your reaction to this because I've been saying this. I applaud the fact that you're going in the ring with a boxer, retired or not. I applaud that. I like Jake. I really do. All right. But we know what he did to a basketball player, and we know what he did to a wrestler that came from the UFC. You are fighting a boxer. My issue with him is that, excuse me, you know, you could get arrested for what he did to those folks, even though they decided to step in the ring with him. They had no business in the ring with him. I'm just saying, but he did what he did to them. Is he going to fight a boxer the way you're fighting a boxer? And listen, I like you and I like Jake. So believe me, I just want to see y'all fight fighters. You're doing that. Is he going to do that? Because I like Jake, but I want him to fight fighters.
Down the line, yes, he's going to fight. He absolutely will have to fight a traditional boxer. I will say he will be fighting a striker very soon. A striker. That's all I can say for now. But
okay.
My rebuttal would be, you know, professional boxers nowadays, the route they've mostly taken is fighting tomato cans, guys with horrible records just to get knockouts and build theirs up. You know, Jake's 3 fights in, and he fought people who at the time looked like meaningful adversaries. Nate Robinson, professional athlete, an athlete, could see if he can box. Ben Askren, a professional fighter. I think Jake should take his time, man. I don't really think he has to answer to anyone telling him who he should fight. He's 3 fights in and has 3 beautiful first round, damn near KOs. And if you look at any other,
these guys have to make
boxers,
you guys have to make big events when you fight. So how do you do that without a guy who has a huge experience advantage? You got to find a UFC star who's maybe not very advanced striking, et cetera, and build up like that.
I think Logan's certainly done that. Floyd Mayweather's 50-0. Okay, so we'll leave it with that. All hands.
You're boxing Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, he's boxing Floyd Mayweather.
That's what they're saying.
The
Play one-on-one with him. Do something other than box him.
The real money decision that we've all slept on is the fact that you set up your training facility in Puerto Rico, one of my favorite places on the planet. I love it there.
Didn't get by me.
All right, so it all goes down June 6th in Miami. Yes, check it out. Oh,
Nice.
that good island life.
Nice.
I need all that. Oh my
Nice.
gosh, it's probably hard to stay away from the food. We'll stay focused
Come visit.
though. Logan,
Come
thank
visit.
you so much for being with us. I was just in Bahia. A lackluster Game 1 performance versus Phoenix has Max and Stephen A. wondering how can the Lakers again strike fear in their opponents. The guys answer.